3, 2, 1, high atop the Sephardic Community Center. And we are here at the site of the TNL playoffs. And tonight, our quarterfinal matchups are star-studded, and I cannot wait to be on the call. And here is your quick preview of these two matchups tonight. And they're definitely not short on storylines. And we're going to start off with the Celtics taking on the Rockets. Let the fireworks fly. Now this one's got all the juice and a splash of Sharif. Yeah, he's officially on the Celtics, but don't tell that to the Rockets. He subbed for them for 5 weeks this year, and he also, as we all know, won a championship with this squad, that Great Neck squad last year. You could say it's kind of like playing against your ex. An awkward playoff reunion. It's going to be weird. The Rockets, they did sweep the Celtics in the regular season, but they did stumble into the postseason on a losing streak. And maybe that layoff, maybe that helps them. Maybe it helps them reset, or maybe they continue losing and that dysfunction continues. For the Celtics, on the other hand, they're on the upswing. After dropping 4 consecutive games, they bounced back, 2 wins in a row, and Hassoun in their lineup, their record is 7-5. Without Hassoun in the lineup, they're 0-2. That's not depth, that's dependency. Now, the matchups are pretty even. Biton versus Dovey, you got to give a little bit of an edge to Biton, or a little more than a little bit. They both play with purpose, passion. I want to see a little more big body Biton instead of just spotting up from the outside. I think that's the best version of Biton you're going to get. Then we have Sharif versus Le'Veon. Familiar faces turned foes. Now they're rivals. It's going to be an interesting one. They know each other very, very well. And then we have Jonah versus Little D, which is control versus chaos. Sephi draws the short straw. Yeah, Sephi's a great player, but good luck trying to contain Captain Joe D, who is playing like a man with his hair on fire. And the biggest performance he had this season was that unbelievable comeback. And we've been seeing a different type of Joey D than we've seen in years past, and it's a refreshing sight to see. And no pressure on Sephi with semifinals berth on the line. So the question is, will the Rockets shake off the rust? Can the Celtics keep cooking? How poetic would it be if Sharif buries his old team? Clear your schedules, this one's going to be personal. Now, if I had to make a pick, I'm going with the momentum. I'm going with Joe D and the Celtics. I feel like they're playing with a little more passion as the season came down the stretch this year, now into the playoffs. Now moving on to the second matchup of the evening, we have the Heat versus the Lakers. Familiar faces, fresh fire. Call it a trilogy, call it fate. Either way, call it Gwindy versus Dennis Part 6. These two playoff regulars, they're meeting for the 3rd consecutive postseason. And they split the last 2, but Dennis does hold a narrow edge, 3-2 on the all-time edge. But this year's Heat team, they already swept the season series, so I give the advantage to the momentum over here, but not so fast. The Heat are missing probably one of the most important pieces on their squad, and that's Yoni Valinsky, who got his finger caught in a snatch, they say, an Asian snatch, Chinese finger trap. And his finger is on the mend. He'll be back in a few weeks. And that's a big, big loss, a gaping hole. Sharif, without him, they're going to have to, without Yoni, they're getting Sharif, who's going to have to dig deep, playing on a back-to-back. So it's not easy to match that playoff intensity on back-to-back games. Can he do it? I'm sure he can, but it's a war of attrition for him. And meanwhile, the Lakers, they've been sleepwalking through the end of the season. But so much talent on their team. Will they finally bring it together? Will they finally flip that switch when the lights are on the brightest? I got to see Dennis really be assertive and be that big D force that we know he's been and always has been, but this year it's just not there. Keita, big storyline tonight. He did drop 30 last time out, and off of Dennis, no less. Question is, Dennis does like to do that EFO defense. I don't know if they're going to be doing that again, maybe going to the zone. Maybe we'll see Dennis on Gwindy and Richie on Keita. Maybe they need a defensive shakeup. I don't know if they're going to stick with the chalk like they did last time. Interesting. It's a really interesting matchup. I think they're going to have to do a defensive switch up. Historically, Dennis owns Keita. But, times do change. If the Heat go into a zone, like I just discussed, I think it'll work well for the Lakers. Could be a chess match, war of attrition, like we said before. One team trying to keep the streak alive, and the other one looking for redemption. It's round 6, and it might be the best one yet. Winner of this goes to the semis. 2 awesome matchups. Sam Sutton live here atop the Sephardic Community Center. Over and out.